This is effectively equivalent to us building a house for 500,000 gold, and then if the house gets burnt down, even by ourselves, we get a payout of 1 million. As we're going to be burning the city down to the ground multiple times, it makes sense for us to call this Gigaslough. Yes, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, do you like money? Because of course I, like all quintessentially posh and British sounding people, love money. So what if I told you there was a way to make infinite money, basically doing just about nothing beyond punching yourself, and maybe setting fire to your own home? That's right, today ladies and gentlemen, we're uncovering fantastic ways to make infinite quantities of money using insurance fraud. I know, it's absolutely fantastic. Insurance fraud is one of my favorite things to do in my spare time. Feeling like you don't have enough money? Why not throw yourself in front of a car? Of course, make sure it's your own car, then set fire to your car, blame it on someone else, and get a lovely insurance payout. The sky's the limit with insurance fraud, and today we're going to be implementing the basic principles of insurance fraud into the video game of Humankind. Now, many of you are going to be sat there thinking, hang on a second, Spiff, this is a 4x grand strategy game set from the Neolithic era to the modern era. What on earth has this got to do with insurance fraud? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it turns out you actually need to look at history to understand how this level of fraud works. Because when you probably think about the great money makers of ancient times, you might think about the Romans, you might think about Mansa Musa, but no, you're wrong. The greatest money makers in all of human history are the Vikings. That's right, those lovely Norsemen. Why on earth are these long beardy boaty boys the greatest money makers of all time? Is it because they're good at pillaging foreign lands and making money? No, it's because they know how to commit insurance fraud. By far the easiest way to infinite money. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be starting a brand new game of Humankind to demonstrate how you too can commit insurance fraud and make fabulous quantities of cash at the same time. So without further ado, make sure you're sat back relaxed with a nice warm cup of Yorkshire tea in hand. None of that filthy bean broth, no, only the finest leafy soups allowed here. And hey, if you're feeling especially fantastic, you can even like the video. Now without further ado, let's dive in and play a game of Humankind as myself, a very, very rich and fancy sausage. Right now, we're going to start a brand new game on a fantastically large map just with some AIs. You know, we can up the difficulty a little bit. It doesn't really make much of a difference. We can put it to nation. You can do this exploit on any difficulty. It makes no difference. Honestly, the AI in this game is merely just a simple stepping stone to simply demonstrate how stupidly overpowered I've now become. Right, so without further ado, I think it's time for us to throw ourselves into the game. So, welcome into the lovely world of Humankind. It's looking very jazzy today as we once again start out with our very bland early hunting party as we need to explore the landscape and move ourselves out of the Neolithic era as fast as possible. Of course, we're going to be relying on just the AI exploration. Sadly, the developers toned down the auto-explore cheese, which you could use in previous iterations of this game to basically teleport yourself through the fog of war to infinite free food. I know, it was very rude of them to turn off the most overpowered feature in the game. So instead, we're just going to go and have to burn down this little deer sanctuary. Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. A staggering 103 turns have passed in this game, and we've finally reached the point where we can start breaking everything with the most overpowered district in the game, brought to you by none other than the Norsemen. And hey look, it's me, a very spiffy looking Viking. I look fantastic. Now, why are the Norsemen so special? Well, they're special for a few reasons, and honestly all of these reasons make them by far the most overpowered civ in this game. However, no one's using them to be stupidly overpowered. So here's how you break the game with Norsemen. Now, what makes the Norsemen so stupidly powerful is that they get a very special unit early, which allows them to get to the new world basically first. That's right, the wonderful uncolonized lands of presumably America can finally be yours as the Vikings, and you can do it an entire era ahead of everyone. This is of course ridiculously powerful as you get to claim the entirety of the new world due to the very poorly balanced way this game is balanced. However, the true power of the Norsemen comes from this district here, the Naust, or Norst. It's a very basic district. It's a harbor that gives food and money, but what makes it so stupidly powerful is that it has one very broken mechanic. Plus 50 gold when you ransack. That's literally just it. You get 50 gold if you ransack something. Now, of course, this makes sense. Vikings generally made a large amount of their money from ransacking their enemies. There's just one issue. In this game, you don't have to ransack your enemies. No. You can ransack anything. And worst of all, if you ransack in your own empire, it only takes 1 turn. Now, if we were to ransack our own empire right here, as you can see, it will give us 22 gold. This is pathetic. We need more than that. And so consequently, we're going to start Operation Breaking this game's balance. And all begins with our first naust to be built in our capital. And then we're going to want a few more over here. So we'll get one built there, another built up there, and then a final one built down here. Fantastic. You legitimately want one in every single coastal region you have. As you can see, I've been settling in a very unique fashion pretty much entirely along this coastline. This is because, you guessed it, you can buy naust for just 45 influence. Fantastic. In fact, we'll even go over here to our wonderful city of Carthage, which doesn't exactly look like Carthage, and we'll start plonking down even more nausts. There we go, splendid. Now, of course, we want to rush these guys all to the start of the production queue, because these bad boys are gonna help us break the game. Now, already we haven't exactly built any naust, but next turn the production on them is going to start. And this is when something very stupid happens, because we are going to start committing insurance fraud by effectively burning down our own empire. I know, it might sound counterintuitive, but it's actually an incredibly viable strat, because it only takes 1 unit 1 turn to burn down any tile in your empire. But why would you do that? There's absolutely no reason to do it. There's no gains for burning your own empire. We'd only gain 22 gold to effectively burn down something that costs 1,391 gold to build. Not exactly a good trade. However, this is where the naust comes into the picture, as it's going to start doing some majestic things. Right, now this turn, it's time for us to start breaking the game, as we're going to start building our first few naust. Now, I think last time we actually built one. Yep, we did. We built a single naust. And now if we were to ransack one of our own tiles, you'll see we'll get 72 gold. That's much better than the 22 gold we were going to get. However, it of course can be improved. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We need to get more naust down on the ground. How are we going to do that? Well, in all of our lovely little outposts here, we can actually build ourselves a naust. Of course, it's minus 10 stability, but stability doesn't matter on an outpost. And hey, we can just build that for 58 influence. And does it of course count? Of course it does. Look at that. We now get 122 gold to ransack our own lands. Now we're just going to build another one out here, then click on this region and build another one out in this region. Down here on the coastline in the south, we'll build another one. Move along a square, we'll build another one. Of course, the fantastic thing about all of this is that these districts only cost us 46 influence to make, and they build instantaneously, meaning they don't take any time at all, which is a lovely trade. So bam, there we go. There's naust in now all of our coastline outposts. And so now if we were to ransack our own tile, you'll notice we'll get 422 gold. That's pretty good, but of course we can make it better. Now ideally it's time for us to start actually moving out and exploring this brave new world, so that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're going to start settling our last few outposts on the coastline over here, as well as also down on this southern coast, and then we should be in a fine position to start occupying more and more lands. Oh wait, we can of course build an outpost here. Yes, let's do that. A brand new outpost. Lovely. That's room for another naust, which is of course another 50 gold for every ransack. There we go. Another region. Of course it's space for another naust, and that's exactly what we'll do. Now if we were to burn down our own terrain, we'll get 672 gold. Much better, and certainly a good way of making money. And our faith can also be upgraded. Lovely. Now there's not exactly much that we need to upgrade in our empire. I mean, especially we don't need any way of gaining additional money. That's just completely useless. So instead we'll pick up Skew Gluttony. This makes all of our land units faster, which is a lovely bonus to have. Oh my goodness, and we've just opened up trade negotiations with the English, and they have access to tea, ladies and gentlemen. Fantastic, let's buy it. Oh, that's glorious. More tea. We'll even buy some sage, why not? Fantastic, we've bought an exceedingly large quantity of luxuries from the English. Now, here's an interesting thing about the city of Thebes. Due to the sheer lack of districts we have in this city, we can actually do something pretty incredible. You see, it actually only takes us 1 turn to build an entirely new district, and the reasoning is very simple. As you can see, it costs us 207 production to make a district. This city produces 465. The reason it's so cheap is because before we became the Norsemen, we were the Egyptians, who have a minus 10% district construction cost, and then we also built the pyramids of Giza for a further minus 25% discount on construction. This in total gave us a minus 35% discount, but this of course stacks with the Carthaginians, who then provide a minus 25% purchase discount. All of it kind of works out and creates something very silly, which allows us to start doing this. You see, what we're going to do is burn down our own garrisons here. Each garrison is going to give us 772 gold, a very decent quantity of gold. So we're just going to burn down all 4 garrisons, and next turn you'll notice something very interesting. Our gold will go from 452 to something a little bit more. So there we go, we just burned down all of those garrisons, and you notice, oh, we got a nice bit of money. 772 from this one, 772 from this one, 847 from these 2 ones. It was fantastic. And now we have 3,870 gold in the bank, but of course we need to fix up our mess. And that's fine, because the issue with burning down garrisons is that they leave pesky ruins which get in the way. But don't worry, garrisons won't get in our way for long, because using the wonders of imperial power, ladies and gentlemen, there's a way to perpetually print money out of thin air. Oh, fantastic, we've even finished off our lovely religion tree. We're going to pick up raised monuments, because why not? The additional science is always useful, and we're going to probably be building a wonder or 2. I don't see why not. So bam, there we go, our religion is now properly finished and ready. Right, okay, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Some lovely time has passed and we've conquered this city over here from the AI called Siramimium. Yeah, okay, you know what, this bad boy is going to get renamed. As we're going to be burning the city down to the ground multiple times, it makes sense for us to call this Gigaslough. Yes, perfect. Now, what is so special about Gigaslough? Well, Gigaslough is a relatively brand new city, meaning it doesn't exactly have much stability, but even more importantly, districts are ridiculously cheap because there's hardly anything in this city. The less districts exist in a city, the cheaper districts are to make, and districts are already very cheap for us to make, about minus 35% cost. However, we just picked up a brand new civic in public happiness, which means commons quarters are now 50% cheaper to make. This is very, very good, because a 50% discount on commons quarters makes them only 80 production to build in this relatively brand new city. That's fantastic. So here's where some very magical money making things are about to happen. Now, as you see right here, we have a mercenary horseman, which we technically stole from these guys and then used to kill them, standing on top of a commons quarter. Now, a commons quarter costs us 80 production to build. However, we can actually burn this bad boy down for 1,072 gold. So we'll do exactly that. And then over here, we're about to build a commons quarter for 593 gold, or if we just wait 1 turn. Now, we're not going to wait 1 turn. We're going to buy this commons quarter for 500 gold, and then we're going to burn it down for 1,000 gold. Now, you can probably guess that there's a minor issue here. This is effectively equivalent to us building a house for 500,000 gold, and then if the house gets burnt down, even by ourselves, we get a payout of 1 million. This kind of equation shouldn't work, and yet it does. Consequently, we're going to cheese the ever-living hell out of it. So, as you can see, we have 175 gold in the bank. We end our turn, those commons quarters get melted down to the ground, and oh dear, what a shame. We now have 2,500 gold, and oh, the commons quarters burnt down. Well, the exciting things about commons quarters is, unlike all the other districts, you don't need to clear the ruins to build on top of them. I have no idea why this is the case, but hey, it just works. So what we're going to do is place down some more commons quarters. We're going to put these guys to the front of the queue and buy them for 557 gold and 572 gold. Now, don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we get more money back from burning them down. Consequently, this is effectively free. In fact, you know what, I'm even going to move this scout over onto the island so that in a few turns time we can start building more commons quarters and burning them down. So for that single turn, we turned a profit of about 1,000 gold. But of course, this system can be scaled up. The best thing about insurance fraud is not when you do it on a small scale, but when you do it on a giga scale. Consequently, we're also going to build ourselves an outpost right here on this lovely tiny little island. It's going to take 2 turns to build, but we can get ourselves another naust on it. And as we've just built 2 brand new commons quarters, you guessed it, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to burn them down again. For some reason now, these commons quarters are worth 1,297 gold to burn down, so that's pretty good. We just end our turn and wha-bam! Ooh, 4,271 gold. Nice. Now what are we going to do? Well, you guessed it, place down 2 more commons quarters exactly where the last ones were, and oh, would you look at that, they're still nice and cheap to make. So we build them up again and we schedule them for demolition, getting 1,297 gold every time we do it. Now the thing is, you can even do this in your own territories. For example, we can build a lovely commons quarter right here. It'll cost us 903 gold to make, which is, you know, a little bit costly, but it's okay. We can build it and then we can burn it down for 1,297. The same can be done here, 931 to build, you get it built and then you just burn it down. Fantastic and perfectly balanced. So how's Gigaslough doing? Gigaslough is of course a burning inferno and a mess, but it's my lovely burning inferno and a mess. Consequently, we're going to build another commons quarter and another commons quarter and another commons quarter. And in fact, that, using our money, we're going to buy this lovely public fountain, which will do wonders to the local stability. The local stability, which is generally just focused entirely on watching buildings get burnt and rebuilt again. So 575 gold, 633 gold, 606 gold. You get all of those things built, lovely stuff. The town is looking glorious. And then, of course, what do you do once you build all of those lovely buildings? Well, you burn them to the ground again. So that's exactly what we're going to do. All of them are going to get burnt into the ground. Fantastic. But here's the thing, making money from burning things into the ground is pretty good. But what if we could do something even better? Well, allow me to introduce you to slaves. Now, the thing is about slaves is that they're actually ridiculously overpowered because of this lovely thing over here, war slaves. War slaves is a policy which generally isn't going to help many people in most of their games. However, this time it's overpowered because we get +1 bonus population per ransack. That seems pretty good. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a fantastic offer from Spiffco. That's right, the first 5,000 people to like this video will be guaranteed Spiffco Commons Quarter insurance. The system's very simple. We'll take out an insurance policy on your home and then burn it to the ground and double our money. You won't be entitled to anything, but we will be entitled to our profits. So why not sign up today to Spiffco Home Anti-Insurance? After all, who needs a roof over your head when you've got an additional 700,000 gold to spend? Anyway, onwards with the money printing. Now, of course, the acquisition of unpaid interns is usually relatively difficult and, of course, highly illegal. But actually, in Gigaslough, it's surprisingly easy. Simply build yourselves a few commons quarters in your own terrain, rush them straight to the front using the money that you have, and then ransack them again. This time you'll notice we get 1 population and 1,297 gold every time we ransack. Now that's a little bit crazy because we're not ransacking anyone else's terrain, and yet next turn this city's going to go from 5 population to 8 population. So we're going to come over here and watch Gigaslough as we press end turn and watch as miraculously 3 people just appear out of thin air alongside an additional 3,700 gold. Because as you can see, we're now up to 11k gold. This is very, very, very good. This is about 50 turns worth of income that we've just basically summoned out of thin air. So naturally, we're just going to continue it. Build another commons quarter, another commons quarter, another commons quarter, and you know what? We should probably get more units in on this. So we're going to actually start printing a few scouts. Scouts cost 560 gold, but don't worry, after a couple of pillages, they'll pay for themselves back. So we're going to build a commons quarter over there and a commons quarter over here. Lovely stuff. And we're just going to spend some gold and rush all of these into existence. Lovely stuff. And once again, ransack and pillage your own terrain, because why not? And oh yes, we can actually build ourselves another naust over here. It's only 71 influence. Lovely stuff. Wabam, it's now ours. So that means we're actually going to be getting even more money from these raids. Lovely stuff. Just how much money? Ooh, that's an extra 50 gold. Lovely stuff. I'll have to reset all of these ransacks for it to actually process. So wabam, there we go. Now we get even more gold. And would you look at that, we're straight back up to 10k despite us spending a lot of money getting some additional scouts. So wabam, it's time for us to get even more commons quarters built into this town. So we'll just buy all of them into existence, and now we're going to ransack it. Now, because we have 5 commons quarters built, this means we're going to be making 6,735 gold per turn on top of an additional 5 population each turn. We don't even have space in Gigaslough for all of this population, but hey, we're gonna find a way to fit them in anyway. Oh, and fantastic, we got the worst possible event in the universe. In this random lake here, our traveling warrior found a goodie spot that managed to give us an entire cog. But of course, this cog costs us 20 gold per turn, and we can't disband the cog because it's not in our territory. Oh my god, I hate this. How? This is the dumbest feature. So bam, we managed it, ladies and gentlemen. We've now got another 5 people living in Gigaslough, and we've got 15k in the bank, so naturally it's time for us to build, you guessed it, all of the commons quarters back again. But you know what? We can actually start expanding our operations further, and honestly, we might as well. So I'll build 2 more spots for these. I'll even buy through all of these constructibles. We'll get all of them built in. Lovely stuff. Actually, no, we can get another one in. Why not? There we go. We'll squeeze one in there. Lovely stuff. 800 gold it costs, but we'll get 1,300 for burning it down. So we're just going to need 3 additional scouts to man all of those. Oh yes, and we also need to burn down all of the existing ones. Now the thing is, it's actually much much easier to ransack your own terrain because it will always only take one turn to pillage your own terrain. However, it will cost you actual turns, like maybe 5 or 7 turns to ransack enemy terrain. This actually makes it much more efficient to just simply pillage your own lands and enjoy fantastic profits in doing so. Legitimately, there's no reason to actually go out and pillage anyone else's lands. Alright, there we go, fantastic. We've got everyone set up in Gigaslav, so we're just going to spend our gold, build up all of these new commons quarters, buy them through, there we go, lovely stuff, and now we're just going to have them all get burnt down to the ground. I love insurance fraud, it's fantastic. And the thing is, you'll actually turn a greater profit the faster the game speed you have. The reasoning is very simple. On faster game speeds, districts are much cheaper to actually buy out. However, the amount of gold you're getting per pillage actually increases as well. This makes pillaging your own land drastically more valuable. For a large quantity of these commons quarters, it costs us 600 for them to be built, and then about 1,300 for them to be burnt down. This basically means we're doubling our money. On faster game speeds, you can be tripling or quadrupling your own money. The only downside is you're playing on a faster game speed. Now, the game really wants me to move into the next era, but there's honestly just no reason for us to do this. After all, I want to keep building the naust for as long as I can because they're ridiculously powerful, and money is power. Now, of course, you don't need to stay as the Norsemen for the entirety of the game, because once you have enough naust down, that's all you really need. Oh my goodness, went up to 16 grand, fantastic stuff. Right, Gigaslav, let's get building all of those districts again. Oh, poor Gigaslav. The population is now up to 24 out of what should be a maximum of 16. Like, we're just squeezing people on top of each other at this point, but hey, it doesn't matter. We'll give them a lumberyard, that'll make them happy. Right, then we'll buy up all of these commons quarters. Fantastic stuff, my goodness. This is going to become a mess, isn't it? Oh dear, oh dear. Now, one of the very crazy broken things you can do here is when you have a city with a large enough population, there's certain modifiers that will just give you money based off of people living in a city. Like, for example, science per population in a city, money per population in a city, influence per population in a city. All of these things stack with the fact that we are just basically printing people into this land. Every turn we ransack all of this terrain, we get 8 people just appearing out of thin air in Gigaslav. So naturally, we're going to build ourselves a library for +1 science per population. We'll buy that now. There you go. This city's now up to 81 science. That's pretty good. But of course, it's time for us to start ransacking again, so let us begin the burning of all of the commons quarters. Lovely stuff. No one will understand the logic behind what we do here, but trust me, there is at least some logic. It's glorious, crazy madman logic. And now we're going to found an outpost over here to stop the Greens from basically taking it, although I think they're my friends. Yeah, we're in an alliance, that's fine. This is nice, our total science is 766, but hey, it's gonna get better. You know what, I'll be back in a bit once we've scaled this operation up even further. Well, it's turn 144, and we've just basically achieved complete and utter perfection. We've built an additional 3 nausts, and this means our money making has just gone up by an additional 150 gold. It's starting to get very stupid. I honestly have no idea why the developers thought, hey, you know what would be a smart idea? What if you could just burn your own stuff down for money? Because all it takes is for us to simply build all of these very cheap commons quarters, select all of our lovely units, and get 1,500 gold for just setting fire to our own houses. We are just simply printing money and population out of thin air. And best of all, there is just no way to stop a player from doing this. I mean, what even is the counter? There just quite simply isn't one. They're doing it in their own terrain, you have no way of seeing if they're actually doing it. All you know is that for some reason they have a never-ending supply of gold. We can even do it in this city over here in Carthage because hey, it's ridiculously cheap. It costs us 858 and 878 to buy some commons quarters, and then we get 1,500 for burning them down. Now that's a nice profit margin. The thing is, if you also want to be extra cheeky, you can even convert influence into gold. How do you do this? Well, it's very simple. We can spend 77 influence to improve one of these luxury resource deposits, and then we can just burn it down in a single turn and get 1,500 gold out of it. Now that's a pretty decent conversion. 77 influence into 1,500 gold is very spicy. Right, there are now 35 people living in Gigaslav despite there technically only being space for 21, but hey, it doesn't matter because we end our turn and we're bam, we've just made 20k. gold. We're up to 31,000 gold. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, we've completely broken you, game, haven't we? Now the thing is, the game doesn't know how to process this. The game thinks we've only made 12,000 gold throughout the entirety of the game. This is because the game doesn't understand raiding income, because the developers, you know, just didn't program that in. But we are now making stupidly large quantities of money. So much money, it is ridiculous. We can buy every single mercenary army on the map. This guy here, 1,000 gold. This guy here, 988 gold. We can buy both of those armies and just conquer this city, no problem. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Oh my god, they've got another army over here. Why don't we just conquer this city? It'd probably give us another city to mess about with, raising stuff into the ground, so sure. Right, we're gonna hire this mercenary army, and this mercenary army, and this mercenary army, and then we're gonna go and have them attack the people that we bought the armies from. Now that seems fair. But until then, I need to still keep printing money over at Gigaslough, everyone's favorite money-making metropolis. Now with 46 people living there. There's more people living there than in the capital. Now the AI cheats, how many have they got in their capital? They've got 21, and the leading AI has 29 in their largest city. Wow, okay, right, we are definitely cheesing the AI. My goodness, this is fantastic stuff indeed. Alright, this turn we're going to be making more money than ever before. As you can see, we've got just under 40,000 gold in the bank, but when we end our turn, as we've now conquered a new land and we now actually have 4 more pillages over here, things are starting to look even greater. In fact, you know what we can do? We can probably even expand this operation just a little bit with another commons quarter there and there. It costs 815 gold and 838 gold to push through, but that's okay. We'll make our money back. So we'll just move one crossbowman there, one crossbowman there, and set them both to pillage. Now you'll now notice we get 1,600 gold for every pillage. This makes it even more profitable. Also, Megaslough is now up to 78 people living there, so we're just going to end our turn, and we're bam, it's now up to 88 people living there, and we have 68,000 gold in the bank. That's pretty good. My goodness, that is actually really, really good. We might as well go and, you know, just murder some random locals. So let me get some crossbowmen here, whack in a great swordsman, lovely stuff. Just buy them all out. We can probably also add in a couple spearmen as well. Fantastic. Now we've got ourselves an entire military that we'll just march on over here and attack this random AI with. Also, if you think it's too tedious to place down all of these commons quarters, it's not. You can just hold down shift and basically just layer them everywhere. It's nice and easy. Only takes a few seconds of clicking and we're bam, there you go. That's all the commons quarters built. Then you just need to simply click on them, set them to be raised to the ground, and watch as the money then floods on in. It really is as simple as this, ladies and gentlemen, to have near infinite quantities of money. Now, using this money, we theoretically could maintain just about whatever we like. Now, I'm afraid it's time for us to actually move on from the Norseman civic and instead pick our next civilization. Now, of course, we could, you know, become the Venetians and focus on the money making, but there's actually no need for that. Instead, we're going to become the Ming. Why on earth we can become the Ming? Is it because we like their bonus? No, it's because we have the Grand Tea House, and tea is the most important thing of all time. A place of great tranquility, beautiful craftsmanship and soothing aromas, perfect for the exchanging of ideas. Oh, it's fantastic. I love it. I want Grand Tea Houses, and oh, look at the swanky Spiff. He looks great. So, fantastic stuff. We'll go and switch into that lovely civ next turn, and you know what? We can also get building a few more lovely commons quarters. There we go. Bam, bam, bam. Lovely stuff. And then just sack you and just sack you. Lovely stuff. Alright, now it's time for us to end our turn on turn 150 and move into the next game. I know, it's fantastic and exciting. Also, we conquered Malacca. Malacca is very special because the districts are ridiculously cheap. Look at this, 680 to build all of these commons quarters. Don't mind if I do. Oh, it's fantastically affordable. I can't wait to bankrupt this city. Anyway, let's end our turn and gain some more money. It's tea time. And we're into the next era. Lovely stuff. We can even actually claim a wonder or two. Machu Picchu, Taj Mahal, Topeki Palace, Topkapi Palace. Oh, it's all glorious stuff. Naturally, we're going to pick up the Taj Mahal for plus 50% money on a calm city. Sadly, this doesn't involve sacking. If it involved sacking, it would be glorious. No, actually, instead, we should probably claim the Notre Dame. Now, because we suddenly have a lot more influence, things are going to get a little bit crazy. For a start, you'll notice in this city here, we're now producing 223 influence. This is because the population of the city generates 1 influence each, and then that's actually doubled again because we're the Ming. Viking. Actually, I think it is. I have no idea. It's something like that. That actually might be the Japanese. I don't know. But anyway, we're going to build ourselves a lovely grand tea house over here because why not? Bam. There we go. That gives us stability and influence. Yes. Oh my goodness. We make minus 2,000 food per turn. But due to the way the game works, we can only lose 1 population per turn. So the city is up to 101 people living in Megaslough now. This is just stupid. Oh, but I love stupidity. Oh, and fantastic. We actually finished off Malacca. Lovely stuff. That means we'll just transfer all of our forces to stand around this lovely little city. And then we can begin the great purge of this lovely, tiny, inconsequential city. Oh, it's going to be fantastic. Now, this grand tea house is especially fantastic. I love the look of it. But honestly, the strange thing about the situation we're in is we're not actually even playing this in the most efficient way possible. You see, we should actually have 1 additional civic. However, for some unknown reason, it just hasn't fired. And I have no way of forcing the game to fire it because the game's a little bit broken. And that civic is called Army Wages. Army Wages is in the military tree and it gives you some very, very, very powerful things. Powerful thing number 1. You can decide whether to have paid wages or plundered wages. Paid wages basically means that you get more stability on a city and on a garrison. Pretty cool. Plundered wages, however, means that any army that is ransacking has +4 combat strength and gains 50% more money. That's right, an increase in 50%. Now that civic hasn't fired and I don't have a way of firing it, but if it had, then we'd be able to gain an additional 50% of 1,678. That's an extra 839 gold, meaning we'd get a grand total of 2,517 gold from every single ransack we did. Now, when we times that quantity by the amount of plundered terrain we have, in total 27 commons quarters that we plunder every turn, then that means our by turn income is 67,959 gold. Ah! Now that is perfectly balanced. Now this exploit actually goes even further than just making like 60,000 gold per turn by just burning your own buildings, as you can actually take this into an additional step. Because we're also printing population every time we do this and our cities are growing at a ridiculously fast rate, this means that in the next era there's a whole bunch of civs that we can pick up. For example, the Siamese that would give us +1 money per population, we can whack this in a few cities and be making an additional 2,000 gold per turn. It's nice, but it's not great. Instead, there's the French, who are +1 science per population, which is pretty powerful. However, they're the French and so we cannot play them. The Germans likewise give +1 industry per population, which is really, really powerful, but they're the Germans and we can't play them. And then there's the British, who give you money, but hey, we don't need money anymore. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's how to completely and utterly break a game using insurance fraud. Simply build up an absolutely fantastic, glorious empire and then burn it down to the ground every single turn repeatedly. Repeat this process over and over again, and for some reason your local hype Vikings will be so happy they'll give you 50 gold every time you do it, and we've got a lot of hype Vikings, meaning money making is easy. And if only we had that plus 50% gold from raiding. Now that would be glorious. But what can you do with all of this gold? Well, you can do pretty much whatever you like. One thing that can get quite silly is that you can basically stop anyone from invading any of your territory by just simply placing down a huge quantity of these encampments. There we go, just place down a metric quantity of them and we'll just buy all of them into existence. Lovely stuff. Fantastic, glorious. Now, good luck trying to take this city. It is now the most fortified city in the known universe. You know, I'll rename it. Welcome to Cadia, ladies and gentlemen. Good luck trying to take down those walls. Oh, and also a grand tea house, of course. Everywhere needs a grand tea house. Lovely. Right, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If you enjoyed today's video, then make sure to give it a like. And hey, why not consider subscribing so that you see more of our glorious game-breaking content. If you have any lovely nostalgic childhood games that you'd like to see us break and damage, then by all means, hop down into the comment section with your very own suggestion, and we'll be more than happy to ruin whatever nostalgia you had. As always, thank you very much to each and every one of our amazing patrons whose names are listed on screen now. Look at these amazing sausages who make all of these videos all the more possible. Seriously, thank you very much. And hey, if you sat there wondering what video you'd like to watch next, look no further than this one on screen now, hand chosen by myself to be absolutely perfect for you. Anyway, I'll see each and every one of you in the next one. Have a lovely day and goodbye for now.